Welcome in, everyone. I'm Gerard Ramallo, your host of The Vegas Verdict. This is a podcast where we look at local and national issues of interest. We offer legal advice whenever possible, and ultimately, we hand down a verdict. Today, we are taking a look at the issue of Las Vegas's tunnel community, a very interesting subject. It's one that exists. I promise you it's real. I know that it is a subject of legend and lore, but it is actually a real issue and one that has many concerns that we need to consider. We have two special guests with us today. My friend and City Councilwoman, Las Vegas City Councilwoman Victoria Seaman is here. She's also my councilwoman. I live in Ward 2, which is the district that she represents. So we're very happy to have her with us. And also Rob Banghart is with us as well. Rob is the outreach director of the Shine a Light Foundation. This is a nonprofit organization that was developed really to offer support for this tunnel community, which is probably much larger than a lot of people realize. Before we get started here, what we'd like to do is show you a short video that takes a look at the situation as a whole. So let's go ahead and take a look now. In the glitz and glamour of Las Vegas, where fortunes are won and lost, there exists another world hidden from the neon lights above. Beneath the bustling streets, a community exists in the shadows, thousands reportedly calling these drainage tunnels home. Makeshift kitchens, communal spaces, crates and blankets lining the concrete caverns. Inhabitants just trying to survive, they say, many battling not just poverty, but addiction and mental illness. Aside from the obvious dangers, violence, drugs, and filth, there's also the potential for flash flooding. Critics argue this shouldn't be allowed, but advocates insist they're not harming anyone. In fact, they're society's victims. In the heart of Las Vegas, beneath the surface, also exists a cruel paradox, an entire community yearning to be seen and at the same time wanting to be left alone. All right, so we have quite an issue on our hands, and once again, we're ready to take a deep dive and talk about some of the issues. I want to start with Rob, if you don't mind. Rob, you're directly involved with this community in the form of outreach. Talk to me first about Shine a Light and what it is that is your mission.
So Shine a Light is a outreach and continuity case management foundation. So essentially we go out every Saturday and periodically throughout the week and build relationships with simple acts of kindness. We don't offer supplies that are going to keep them out there. You know what I mean? Simple water on a hot day, a pair of socks, and cultivate relationships that when they're ready, we offer them what we call instant placement with access to treatment and housing. It's our IPATH model. We've never had a wait list. So that means they call, we come within an hour, we pick them up and we engage them because we deal primarily with the substance abuse model. Substance use disorder is driving the bus. So we're connecting them with treatment, housing, together, not just housing, not just treatment, together once they've been clinically and medically approved through detox. And then our case managers step in. And what we believe is that we have unlocked the safety net as it was a more authentic version of the safety net, meaning that we're utilizing everybody. So there's a lot of places in town that do great work, but they're standalone places. How do we connect the entire community to affect a community problem?
Before I get to Victoria, I just want to clarify. I have heard, and this goes way back to my reporting days from, 10, 20 years ago, that there were dozens of people living under the tunnels. And then I heard hundreds, and now I'm hearing over 1,000, into the thousands. What can you tell us about your experience there?
I think the number that we're typically comfortable with is about 1,500. That number fluctuates a little bit, but that's about right.
Councilwoman, what are your thoughts about this entire community living in the tunnels beneath the Las Vegas Strip?
Well, right before you said that, the thought that came to my mind is it is an entire community. It's like a small town living in our tunnels. And my main concern is the safety of those people because we do have flash floods and we'll be having monsoons in the summer. And it's a danger to themselves. I love groups like Shine a Light. I've always thought that the private sector does such a better job than government, but we have to do more. And the collaboration and when I'm mayor, I will collaborate more with these groups to make sure that we are learning from them. We are being educated by them. This is the boots on the ground. I mean, I've gone out in the tunnels once. I could learn so much more.
Right.
These people are out there really saving lives and available for services. And as a city, we have given grants, and we're trying to do more with our community, because it's sometimes better that we help them out monetarily so that they can do the work.
Right, right. Yeah, I don't disagree with that. And Rob, I appreciate what you said. You're not trying to enable this community to perpetuate a lifestyle underground. You're trying to give them a hand up and offer those wraparound services or direct them where they need to go whenever possible. There is a problem, though, and that is the fact that this community is growing. And how do we address that growth issue, and where do we specifically target solutions here? My personal belief is that the nonprofit world should be involved in the services that they hand out. You know, you need water, you need food, those kinds of things, blankets. That's a nonprofit issue. But government should offer something a little bit more substantive.
Yes.
You know, as taxpayers, we can hold government accountable, right? So they should be looking at the drug addiction, the mental illness, you know, where can we place these folks? And also, you know, when it needs to be upheld, the law needs to be upheld too. We can't have, for example, trap houses down there. We can't have heroin dens and
No.
places of, you know, I don't know if people are being assaulted down there or what is going on down there, but that can't be allowed. So,
No,
Victoria,
and
what are your thoughts
I
on that?
agree with that.
Yeah.
And I agree that more money needs to come for mental health and addiction, because that's what I've learned from those who are out there in the streets, that the problems are deep. They're with addiction and mental health, and that's where money needs to go. And what I do love about what we do at the city is we did the camping ban, because like you said, we can't just allow people to camp out and do have their dens or what have
Some
you.
cities do allow it.
They do.
Portland,
and,
for
and
one.
it's a crisis and it's a problem.
Right.
And we have not done that. And I like the stance that we did. But we couldn't do that without having services. Now, are the wraparound services just within the corridor enough? No, they're not.
Yeah.
But what Governor Lombardo is doing, and I haven't asked Rob about this, is he's replicating what we did, Haven for Hope in San Antonio, with $100 million in state money, matching the casino money of $100 million, and he's replicating the Haven for Hope in San Antonio. We were the first to do it, to have any type of municipal shelter, and we did it on 2 acres. And I'm grateful for what we did, but it wasn't enough for all of Southern Nevada, because one of the things that we know is that it's a regional problem, and people don't know the boundaries. And so when you have shelters, they all come to one place.
Yeah.
But having it state funded and state run is a lot more resources and a lot more money, and privately. It's private public. I love private public. So I'm really grateful that they couldn't build it fast enough, but they will have those wraparound services. From what he's saying, you know, you bring them in, you give them the services, and then you work to transitional housing and then to permanent housing. And I think that the model in San Antonio works, and I hope that we can do the same. And it was about time we put that money to good use.
Yeah. Rob, you brought up the fact that part of your mission is to create relationships and to establish this kind of connection. Tell me about some of the stories that you've heard from some of the people who are down there, because I've been looking through YouTube videos and some news archives, and there's women, men, older folks, mixed race. It's not, you know, it's not one type of person. There's veterans down there.
I mean, addiction, mental health, and homelessness doesn't discriminate.
Right.
It doesn't care about any of that, you know, and I think you brought up a good point. It's we. That's the answer. It's we on all levels, because all of us, regardless of whether we're city councilwoman or the guy that works at 7-Eleven, we all live here. Right? We all go to the same stores. We all shop at the same places. So how do we collectively? She hit on a good point, right? Like, we need state funding connected with private nonprofits, all these people working together.
Yeah.
You're not going to solve the problem because the problem is way too complicated. And I'm a visual learner, so I use the visual examples, and I use this a lot, right? I think when we think about homelessness or addiction or mental health, we try to paint it with a spray gun like we're painting a house.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with house painters, but for this, you want to be Michelangelo. You need to have a paintbrush because Victoria's story and my story and your story all might be very different.
Right.
So how do we as a community help you, surround you, wrap around services, support you, and help you to paint your own picture?
Yeah.
So you don't return, right? And that's what we do. That's our continuity. We stay with you regardless of where we place you, and I think about Danica as our case manager for our women's program. And Danica was with us, went back out. We found her finally. She came back in. The day that she came in, I'm not going to put out names, but there was some people out there that were, in our city, high up in our city. She had no idea. And they have gone on to become her mentors, still in her life 3 years later.
Wow.
We don't think about that, right? Because addiction and mental health, it's all about separation and disassociation. We don't even see the amount of people that want to help us. I didn't think I'd be sitting here with you guys 5.5 years ago.
Right.
But here I am. You know what I mean? So it's possible. And I think collectively as a community, we need to band together. And I don't want to reinvent the wheel. Yeah. I'm good at what I do. She's good at what she does. Let's connect and let's all push this problem.
And police and fire, they have their own responsibilities. I mean, we all have our own ways that we can get involved. I think where we agree right now, at least, is that it can no longer remain a secret. Yeah. And the resolution and the answer to all this is going to be a collaborative one. It's going to be something where we collectively come up and provide answers to this problem.
And the stigma has to go away completely because we're all human beings. And I think we've come far in that. And I think it's important to recognize that it has affected all of us, whether it's us or a family member or a friend. I have a friend whose son passed away on Friday from an overdose of fentanyl. He was 32 years old. I spent Friday, crying with her.
Right.
And we have to do something. These are our friends, our family, our community that have problems with addiction. And we have to help people.
We're going to, in just a moment, talk about what are the roadblocks and what are the speed bumps to us getting to that point where we can offer some solution. But at this point, we will take a short break and we'll be back with more of The Vegas Verdict right after this.
If you've been injured in an accident, you don't have to go it alone. At Paul Paddle Law, we understand your injuries aren't just physical. They also bring financial burden and emotional strain. At our firm, it's not just about legal representation. It's about genuine care and commitment. Lock in the attention you deserve from your attorney. We'll get you on the path to recovery. Call Paul Paddle Law. Legal security when you need it.
Welcome back, everyone. This is The Vegas Verdict. We have our guests with us today, Las Vegas City Councilwoman Victoria Seaman. She's running for mayor of Las Vegas, and Rob Banghart, who is the outreach director of the Shine a Light Foundation. And of course, we're talking about Las Vegas's tunnel community. 10, 15 years ago, it might have been Las Vegas's best kept secret, but it's really not a secret anymore. You can go on YouTube, you can do a Google search, and you will find dozens of videos and stories about this community that lives in the underground right under the Las Vegas Strip. Primarily, they're living in the drainage tunnels, which presents another big problem because, especially in August, we have monsoon rains and we have flash floods, and people have died in those tunnels. So there's an issue that we're trying to tackle here today, and that is the broad issue of what should be done with this community. I think we all agree that it has to be something compassionate. We want to get them help. But I'm not sure that staying in the tunnels under Las Vegas is necessarily the best option for them. So what do we do? Rob, we'll pick it up from there. Give me your thoughts on that.
I mean, I think that primarily we need to cultivate these relationships and let them know about the services. I'll give you an example. I was homeless for probably a year before I ever knew where to go get a meal, where I even knew where the corridor was. I wasn't born here. I didn't, you know what I mean? I didn't grow up knowing where the shelters were.
Right.
And that's just one example. You know what I mean? If I leave my office today, I could find a lawyer, a strip club, a weed vendor in a billboard. But if I'm homeless, how do I find out how to get substance abuse?
That's a very good point.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So there's still some stigmas, like our city councilwoman was saying, that we don't talk about it openly. And I just believe that, like, until we get to a place where, and that's for anybody in any area of life, if you're not willing to take an honest look at what's going on and have hard conversations, you won't fix the problem.
Yeah,
you know,
that's one thing I love about Victoria, and I
100%.
don't think she'll mind me saying this, but she's a no BS lawmaker and leader. She looks at the issue and she'll tell you what she thinks. And so here again, we're talking about a very important issue, one that should not be overlooked, and we're asking, as a leader, what do you think?
Yeah, I agree with Rob on collaboration, and that's one of the things that I want to do as mayor is bring all the different groups together, and we create a task force where we can talk about how we can fix this together. That isn't happening right now. I, talk to Shine a Light. I know that some of the other council members talk to other. We need to bring you together, all of the different nonprofits, bring somebody in from the other municipalities and say, what can we do? I mean, there can be something as simple as helping you get information, your organization, to the tunnels for services. I know you guys are doing a great job, but you can't solve this alone, and that because you've been out there. Yeah. And so there are so many opportunities, I think, missed, and I would love to do that.
Yeah. I would also argue that, and I'm playing devil's advocate here. I talk to other voters and taxpayers, and I think there's a fatigue with respect to the homeless issue. And I think that a lot of people think that, government is doing too much in terms of enabling or not really addressing real issues. They're fine with handing out waters and building a lean-to or a shelter that's a temporary fix to a much, much bigger problem. So I think there is a fatigue out there. We want real solutions. And the fact of the matter is, most lawmakers, you said you've been down to the tunnel, most lawmakers are not going to go into the tunnels. Right. But Rob is, and Rob's team is. And so we need to support that effort. Absolutely. They're the ones who are going to have the connection and that dialogue. But then what are we going to do to get them, on a path that is a safe one and one that offers promise? Here's another issue that is facing our community, and that is that there's a shortage of licensed clinical psychologists. I have some familiarity with behavioral health services in Southern Nevada, and we don't have the resources to address all of the mental needs that are out there, including mental health facilities. So in my mind, maybe that's where we need to be spending some money. Maybe that's where government needs to step in and say, we need to have this. It benefits the community as a whole.
And that's why working together and bringing your state legislators in as part of that group to talk about, is there something stifling them from coming into Las Vegas or the state of Nevada? Maybe it's the licensing process, or are we just not having that type of education here? What is the answer?
Yeah. We incentivize other industries. Maybe we need to incentivize, doctors and psychologists who are in that field. And
reciprocity with licensing could be, because a lot of times when people want to come in with their license here, there's more education. I don't know, because I haven't looked at that, but that's a very good question.
Yeah. Is there pushback? And this is a question for both of you. Do you get resistance when you talk about, hey, we need to help this tunnel community, or we need to help the homeless? I mean, do you get this kind of, here we go again, or other city council members, other lawmakers, do you feel like they just want to turn a blind eye and pretend it doesn't exist?
Well, I think they have, or we would have done a lot more by now. and with the tunnels, I think that since you can't see them, why deal with it? That's probably an attitude. What I do see from constituents is they just don't want it in their backyard.
Mm-hmm.
And so we really have the responsibility as leaders in the community to come up with solutions that work for everybody. And we do want to make sure that people aren't camping in other people's businesses
That's
and backyards. Fair. It is very fair.
Especially if you own a business and it's hurting your business.
And we've done that.
Yeah.
And we've done that with the camping bed.
Right.
But now it's time to look at the community underground and see how we can be of help to these organizations that are in the tunnels, because we're not going to walk miles into the tunnel like your organization. But again, we need to all come together, talk about what's really happening, and really come up with solutions that work.
2 questions for you, Rob. What kind of resistance have you faced in your efforts to help this community? And then my second question is, there's some perception out there that these are people who are skirting the law. They're lawbreakers. They are they're drug users. They want to have their place where they can go and not be bothered by, the legal structure and police and what have you. So those are my 2 questions for you. First, the resistance issue.
I would say resistance. I think Victoria hit on it pretty well. It's just awareness. You know what I mean? There's a lot of false narrative of what's going on down there, and I use this example because 7 out of 10 people in America live paycheck to paycheck.
Mm-hmm.
So that means 7 out of 10 people that right now could be homeless within a month.
Yeah,
that's not acceptable to me. You know, and so it's very important. Again, based on my own experience of not knowing where to get a meal for a year, I'm very anything I can do to talk about this and bring people out and explain to them so they can have a real experience with what's really going on out there, because you hear a lot of stories, but the reality is they're human beings. There's some things happen there. Of course, some things happen on the west side of town, east side of town, all over the place, right? In every walk of life. Yeah, you know what I mean? Of course. But at the end of the day, they're human beings. Like I was somebody's dad, somebody's brother, somebody's, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Son.
Yeah,
and same thing out with everybody else. And so the resistance is in helping people to understand with a compassionate heart that these are human beings. And this is our city. From the top to the bottom is the entire city. It's not just these people or just casino owners, and when you're sitting under Caesar's Palace in a tunnel, like she's been, looking up, and you've got 10 homeless people living right there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I think Vegas is uniquely suited because of the dichotomy, like you talked about in your video. Like, there's very few places where it's such a drastic dichotomy that highlights it, and I think that's why it's
rags and riches.
Yeah, I mean they're gambling $5,000 chips above us, and I'm handing out peanut butter jelly sandwiches below them in the water.
Yeah. We're getting close to our verdict, but I want to continue this discussion. I want to lean into the issue of what needs to be done with this community. It's growing. Do we continue to allow it to grow? Is that in the best interest of the people who are down there? Is it in the best interest of the community? Or do we have to do something drastic? I'll give you my thought and then you guys can jump in. I think, and this might not sit well with some people, but I think we need to move them out of there. That sends and get them the proper help. It sends 2 messages: that we're not enabling, we're not allowing you to just camp out and live this kind of skirting lifestyle. Granted, for many it's not by choice, but it also is a proactive means of getting them into the help that they need. And if government is responsible, then there's an accountability there as well. They have to have a responsibility. Maybe this is pipe dream, but I'd like to hear what you guys have to say about that.
Just underground? Why not above ground?
Well, and that's a good point. I mean, and that's a bigger issue.
I'm playing devil's advocate.
And here's why I say below ground should be a priority, because there's an added risk for those who live below ground, whether it be flooding or whatever else goes on down there. And I don't know, maybe nothing goes on down. Maybe there's no difference between camping on the side of the road or in an alley. But it seems to me that there's potential for more risk in the tunnels.
I think the biggest thing I can remember about being homeless was that I was exposed. You know what I mean? It didn't matter.
To the elements.
Period.
To
everything.
To other crime.
Somebody
people.
driving by, throwing a bomb, anything, right?
Interesting.
So you're exposed. That's a safety issue. So Down there, is it maybe a touch more? Because of course, maybe a little
Right.
bit, right? Like I'm not naive, but overall, the issue is that they're there. Like that's the issue. I think we tend to focus on these things because it makes us feel like, here's where we can make a difference, or here's what we. The issue is us collectively working together. I have no issue with clearing them out if collectively as a community we have the beds and the resources
Right.
available to
Yeah.
service them.
Yeah.
That's why. How many beds do we have?
So I love that you said that, because that's exactly what I was thinking.
Yeah.
I was thinking the proper time to move everybody out and maybe close it off so people can't go down there, because it is a danger to them. It's the danger to, I guess there's some problems with the waters and stuff as well. But we have to have the facility to be able to take every single person in for services. Now, do they have to come? No. But we should be able to at least have a bed for everyone and services for everyone.
Yeah.
Now, does that mean trying to bring sections out at a time so we can help them? That is the facility that's coming. And I hope it has enough room to help with this situation.
Yeah, and the services too.
Yeah,
I think
because if we don't
traditionally
have 'em-
there's been a disconnect. There's a lot of people who want to help, and I'm familiar with a lot of nonprofits, and I think there are a lot of well-meaning elected officials also.
Yeah.
But in terms of what they can actually provide, there's a disconnect. You know, beyond the sandwich and the shelter, where's the mental health capacity? Where is the transitional months of counseling to get them into a position where they can be on their own? And I applaud you for, here you are a spokesperson and on camera and in front of the audience. And I think you're a testament of what can be done and frankly, what should be done.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, definitely.
I'm a testament to the community.
Yeah.
When the community works together, that's why
Exactly.
that's why I will forever work for Shine a Light, because the continuity of bringing the community together. Right? Shine a Light doesn't own anything. Don't have a studio. Nothing. We have ideas that we believe in, that we implement. But so if I come to you, I help you do what you do. I don't try to change what you do. I connect you and her and him so that we can all work together and walk
Right.
them through 18 months of it. With the goal being by the end of those 18 months, you're in our lives.
yeah.
The day that she went out, there was probably 5 or 6 of the people that were with were clients
Yeah.
that had graduated. Like they buy back in, like all of us, right? To buy back into our community and to make it a better place.
I think of John Ponder's Hope for Prisoners program. It's a long process. It's not, okay, you're out of jail, now you're back in society. No, this is a whole transitional process where there's training, there's a company that's willing to work with you and train you, and then eventually you're a productive member of society and hopefully law-abiding. And I like that mentality, and I like that approach.
It's an
myself.
investment. It's an investment. It's not a Band-Aid.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I think the Band-Aid is a much easier look,
Oh, yeah.
but the investment is hard work and dedication. It's not easy,
Right.
but it's worth it.
Right.
That's an outcome. The Band-Aid is an input.
Yeah. There are some lawmakers who are all about Band-Aids, I think.
yeah.
Let's do this here and now, and
Yeah.
hopefully I'll get reelected and we'll push the can, kick the can down the
and
road.
I think that's why it's so important to bring those other stakeholders in, because it's the state's money that we need to funnel down, or even federal money for these mental health facilities and for recovery. And we all have to work together. And we have a biennial part-time legislature that goes in for 4 months and makes decisions quickly, and then those people go back to their regular lives. And it's people like us at the city and the county that are working 7 days a week with our partners,
Yeah.
trying to figure this out. And so it has to be collaborative.
100%.
Think of all those issues that fall through the cracks in that 2-year period, too, that never even get discussed and they get missed. So
And they're on to the
Jam-packed
next
into
thing.
4 months, and then
right.
And then new people come in.
yeah.
Yeah.
And so these issues get lost.
Yeah.
And they don't have to deal with them or get the calls about them or see what's happening. So they're back in their regular lives.
All right. We've had a good discussion thus far. We're going to take another break here, and we'll be back with the Vegas verdict and some final thoughts right after this.
Legal troubles require swift action, and there's only one attorney who's quick on his feet.
Legal troubles don't wait, and neither should you. I'm Tony Abbotangelo, a former judge with 30 years' experience. I know the judicial system, and I know what will work for you in court.
When your circumstance requires a skilled negotiator who knows the law, tap into Tony. He's a former judge who can defend your rights. Call 707-7000.
All right, welcome back, everyone. We've been having a lively discussion about the tunnel community here in Las Vegas. Yes, it is real. Yes, it is a very real concern. And our guests today have been Las Vegas City Councilwoman Victoria Seaman and Outreach Director for Shine a Light, a wonderful nonprofit organization here, Rob Banghart. So today, our question, and we're about to hand down a verdict, our question is, should the tunnel community here in Las Vegas be removed from those tunnels? And our verdict is, we'll do it in 3, 2, 1.
Eventually with a plan.
Okay, eventually with a plan. And we're all in agreement there. We're all in agreement there that it's not in their best interest to stay where they're at. We certainly don't want to enable others to think it's okay to go down and kind of adopt this. It's unhealthy. It's dangerous. They're at risk, and it doesn't help the community as a whole. But here's the problem. We don't have the facility to serve them properly if we were to remove them right now. So
Correct.
Eventually is frankly the right answer here. Rob, give me your closing thoughts on what needs to be done and where we go from here.
I think that we need to continue talking, obviously, awareness and making sure people understand the issues and the solutions that are out there. I think that we've opened up a lot of beds with different sober livings and stuff because we're not restricted by grant funding, so we're able to utilize a lot more beds. You know what I mean? But overall, the community problem needs to be addressed by the community together. And the task force idea, I love that. That's a great idea, and hopefully we can make that happen.
Yeah, I like those thoughts. Victoria?
Well, I think collaboratively we can resolve a lot of this, but we have to do it together. And I look forward when I'm mayor that we put together a task force, but it has to be with the entire community, other elected officials.
Yeah.
And I think that we can really come out with some really good solutions.
Well, I'll publicly volunteer to be a part of that group here and now. I agree with you both, and I applaud you both. Rob, I applaud your efforts. I think your heart and the mission of Shine a Light is in the right place, and we should be supporting folks like you.
Thank you.
Thanks for sharing your story and also for being vulnerable and sharing with us your own plight. Victoria, I applaud your leadership. I think you're a no BS leader. You put it out there, and your word is solid. So thank you both for being here today, and thank you for watching and for listening to this latest version of the Vegas Verdict. If you have questions, if you'd like to become a part of the show, please visit our website, vegasverdict.com. We have a blog site on there. We are also encouraging you to post your thoughts, and if you have an issue that you'd like to discuss, please put that down there as well. Perhaps we might even invite you in to become a part of the show someday. Thanks for watching. This has been the Vegas Verdict.
A mysterious fireball lights up the Las Vegas night
It's been
sky.
1 year since this report from Las Vegas captured national attention. A perceived alien sighting followed by this 911 call to police.
It has big eyes and looking at us, and it's still there.
So there's 2 people or 2 subjects that are in your backyard?
Correct, and they're very large. 9 feet, 10 foot. They look like aliens to us. Big eyes, they have big eyes, and they're not human. They're 100% they're not human.
Now, a well-known evidence expert and crime scene reconstructionist has come forward to say the video is undoctored. In other words, it's real.
You can clearly see through the slots in the fence that there is a leg motion moving from the right to the left side of the screen.
So what was that large figure walking around in a Las Vegas backyard? Not to mention that bright light in the sky. For now, the mystery lingers, and among the questions that remain, Are we truly alone? Have you encountered an alien, been abducted, probed, bred, time traveled, and or mind manipulated by an extraterrestrial? Concerned about your earthly rights? You need a lawyer. Contact the Vegas Lawyers. And that's your dose of this week's Vegas Viral. Remember to look for us on your favorite podcast platforms and stay connected on our website, vegasverdict.com.